Uh, okay, Karrion Kross and Sami Zayn. They added this one. With what we talked about the other day on the program, you know what I had to watch for. And by the way, the people love Sammy. They love Sammy. They love Sami Zayn more than they love Sammy Davis Jr. But you know what I was looking for, don't you hear? The story went out. Did we ever source that
No, that was an off air.
vicious rumor?
Yeah, we talked about that off air. I don't even think it was on air.
Oh, was it? We talked about it, so we had to keep an eye out there. Well, because I saw the story on the interweb after you had brought it up, so it's out there because I think they had crossed. Somebody had cross responded. He was laughing at it. People say that. But the story went out that Karrion Kross was allegedly either scared of, afraid of, reticent to, not enthused by taking bumps. And that may limit how far he could go in a business where people have to fall down on a regular basis when they're in the main events. And said, did you watch for this, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, that was the only reason to watch this match.
Well,
that was the only reason to watch this match.
I mean, because I made a few notes, but before I give you details, what was your impression when you came away from the match as to whether or not those rumors may have any validity?
Well, again, I don't think it was a fair sample because word got out before this match, so I think he took just fine the amount of bumps he took. He took fine bumps when he took bumps.
Well, in that case, then I think he's probably smarter than we thought because he did get through this where the way that they worked the match, you wouldn't have noticed, right? But if you're going through the match just to write down, just to write down when and how this guy falls down in the course of a fucking 13-minute match, then but he is a very good psychologist. I got to say, again, I'm not, if he does this good a job of hiding it all the time, more power to him.
Yeah, Jake wasn't taking bumps. I mean, there are plenty of people who learn how to work around having to do anything like that.
Well,
bumps.
no, Jake was not going to have this match. No, it depends on how old he was and where his head was at. But nevertheless, so Karrion Kross is Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is an underdog anyway. He likes to fight from underneath, so he gets a little flurry at the start. He excites the people, and then the heel usually cuts him off, and then he fights from underneath. So that was the story of this match, but there's nothing unusual there. But at 2 minutes, Karrion Kross took a safe bump over the top rope where I believe he got clotheslined, and he went over the top, landed on his feet, crumbled to the ground. And then they were fighting on the floor, and he was standing on his feet. Sammy moonsaulted him. He caught Sammy, and they went down, kind of a soft bump on
a bump?
Floor.
Yeah, you consider that a bump?
Well, there was several times that Kross went down with more force than this when he was suplexing Sammy, but I don't consider it a bump when you're throwing the fucking guy and just happen to land, So we're only talking about actually, because I'm telling you, when he's throwing Sammy with them fucking Saito suplexes, he hit the ground a couple of times, but we're not counting those. Let's see, number 3, he collapsed off the buckle and took I wrote ox bump, so that's an Ox Baker bump.
Ox Baker didn't take bumps.
Well, no, when Ox went down, it was a bump in what the boys used to say in stages. It was a stagey bump where part of him went down, then the next section, then the next section. And so anyway, 1, the bump over the top. Okay. 2, the moonsault catch down. Okay. 3, collapse, ox bump. Okay. Number 4, flat back bump from a clothesline. Okay. Number 5, got an axe handle from Sami off the top to the head, took a bump, boom, okay. And then Sami's into his comeback now, and he got a Blue Thunder Bomb. He took that Blue Thunder Bomb, and then what did they call it? The exploder, where Sami grabs him and belly to belly overheads the guy into the turnbuckle, where the guy lands like on the back of his head and his shoulders on the ground and into the turnbuckles. Well, he did that to Kross, and I wouldn't want to take that fucking thing. There's a lot of shit going on, but he was a little short. It looked like Kross caught the back of his head and then kind of went into the buckles, but the announcers had to say, don't think he got all of it. One of those type of deals. And then number 8 was a crumble bump from the fucking haluva kick in the corner. 1, 2, 3. So he took 8 bumps in 13 minutes, and 4 of them were somewhat suspect as to the force or velocity with which he hit the ground. He's pretty fucking good.
This could become a new game for fans. Maybe they can count out loud. 1 bump. 2, like Suplex City for bumps.
I swear to God, if that became a thing, that would probably drive him out of his fucking mind. If people just, he takes a hip toss, 3.
And then sometimes, like, it's a bump where, like we talked about earlier, is a soft bump. Is it a bump? And then fans can fight with each other, bump, no bump, bump, no bump. And if he becomes known as the bump guy, Tony will hire him.
Bump, no bump, bump, no bump. And Tony says, I got a bump.
Exactly.
But I mean, that's so you weren't writing them down. So, but see, you got the impression, he's really upped his fucking game.
Yeah, he obviously heard the criticism, said, I'll do more bumps tonight. He did 8.
And can you think, I'm starting to like this guy more, because can you think of any time he's ever been thrown through a piece of furniture?
Off the top of my head, no. I'm sure he must have done something stupid in NXT. He was there for a while and he was on top. But I can't think of anything, no.
Well, there you go. More power to you, Karrion.
What do you think of the Karrion Kross push now? Everyone's been talking about him getting a better push, and then he goes over there and it was kind of a flat finish, don't you think?
Well, no. I mean, Sami is still a guy that you can put into main events, top positions. They love him. I'm sorry, I don't see on the big show in front of that crowd. They've already got some things on here that could be considered downers. They're not going to put Kross over in that particular, spotlight venue, whatever.